and I have known each other for a few years, and probably 2 years into our working relationship, I found out that he had this really extremely rare talent. And because I love energy work and I'm always willing to help people get their message out, if something is really helpful for people, we started to do this about every 2 weeks since around last October. So basically, every 2 weeks, I have a little slot on my website that has the dates. And if you're on my mailing list, you will typically get that. Hey, success.
All right, I did it.
You did it. So, we've been doing this now a couple of times a week. One time I did actually post the entire recording on YouTube. But one of the reasons why I don't always send out the recording is I feel that this is a space where people are being very exposed. They're sharing a lot. And so while I don't have a problem sending this recording to the people who've been on the call, I really feel kind of uncomfortable with just putting everything out there for everybody in the world. I mean, I feel like this is a space where healing is happening, and it's, kind of up to the person who's involved in it to be someone who says, yeah, I want you to share my stuff, or I don't. So if you're on my mailing list, then you will get the recording. But if not, then you probably won't. If you ask me for it, I'll pass it on if you were here. So Gavin, tonight looks like we've got Gary, who's been here before, and Gary, you can feel free to unmute, say hello or whatever. And I don't think you've yet met Daniela De Castro, but you might have heard her name. Is that a yes or a no for you, Gavin?
Yes, I know her. Yes.
Okay, so you know Daniela. So Daniela is here with us tonight to experience your work. So, Gary, how are you? How are things been going? Have you put down any roots anywhere, or what's happening?
Just arrived in Houston Sunday evening, so I'm kind of haven't put down roots yet, but I'm getting lost new places every day.
Nice, nice.
Awesome.
That is
Good to
really,
hear.
really, really awesome. And Gary's been working on his journey now, like a lot of us, for about maybe a year, maybe just under a year. You just see, I have
I've
his
got a,
next.
I've got a number of different journeys, so it's hard to tell which is which.
Oh, so Gavin, welcome back. It's been a couple of
Yeah.
weeks. How have you been?
Yeah. Thanks for having me back. Excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Always, always, always. Anything new
Uh,
and wonderful happening in your world, or?
Well, it's really exciting. I wanted to talk to you guys about was just, helping people move to the next level in this whole journey. And I've been really exploring a lot of, information about sort of in my downloads and doing a little reading, research, and really sort of zeroing in on the concept of how our emotions actually affect us at the molecule level. Right? So I talk a lot about beliefs. I talk a lot about memories, that kind of thing. But even going further at the molecule level has really helped me to, sort of advance my work even further, which is helping me understand that, at a at a molecule level, we have a lot of disease that's being created. You have a lot of changes in the molecules, right? So you could be creating a toxin, or you could just be creating some kind of disturbance that shows up as pain, or maybe disturbances in different parts of the body, right? So you have the mind aspect, which of course is our belief system. So that's always been very easy to handle for me. But where I was getting more excited by this process is moving more into the physical and actually solving some really complex physical issues that sometimes I might have had an issue with in the past, or maybe just a limitation, put it that way.
Yeah.
So when you look at it at the molecule level, you see that actual changes that
The zipper is open and don't you want to do your hands up
Now I
against
definitely, I'm gonna mute that for a second. Okay, I just
we can
muted
hear.
you,
Okay,
Daniela.
we can hear her.
That
Yeah.
was me.
Her mic's working. Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dr. Emoto's work, of the whole water molecule thing, right? So, we are made up of water, 70%, they say, something like that. But there's other molecules in our body. So if you take the whole spectrum of that and you see that the molecule actually changes shape, in terms of how we're thinking, what we're saying to ourselves, even if we're talking to water, it changes. He showed that, with a microscope, which was really cool. So I'm looking at it more from a disease, infection, age reversal standpoint, you know. So on the reversal, I'm not sure how far I am on that yet. It's still to be tested. But, I think that everything goes back to that. So I think you could, in theory, solve a lot of issues. But I'm noticing a lot of differences and changes with my clients, just, in terms of pain and different diseases. So yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is for sure. Well, it's funny because with all the different things I could do and all the different directions I could go in, what a lot of people don't know is I decided not to go in any directions for a while. I decided
Yeah.
to step back. I talked with Gavin about this because it was Gavin's work that was really the impetus for the thought processes and my allowance of those thought processes as an option to do and what I'm doing. I mean, basically now I get up when I feel like it, which is always early. It's like 6:30. But the sun comes up, I get up. But I choose every minute of my day to do whatever it is I want to do. If I want to get up, if I want to exercise, this morning I exercised. I did like an on and off little thing for about 45 minutes or so and had a nice smoothie and a glass of green juice, went for a walk, decided to come home and read a little bit. Whatever strikes me, whatever, it's really like a soul retreat. I'm taking a soul retreat and I'm not spending all of my time working, working and working and working to do what and to get where, to have the time to spend time with myself. So I thought, let me just cut out the working part and just get right to it. And that
I'm sure your
mindset,
molecules are happy.
my molecules are so happy these days. My body's in less pain. This was directly after I really exposed myself to Gavin. I let him know all the different things that was occurring. I was clenching my teeth on a regular basis while I was asleep. I am not doing that anymore. Now, every now and then I catch them close together, but I'm not clenching, which you had told me was
Frustration.
a sign of frustration. So, this feeling and this emotion of frustration that I was having over having to work and having to try to get someplace that I've been wanting to get for decades. And
Mm.
after the work we did, I was okay to release the resentment. I also was resenting the fact that I had all of these physical issues and limitations. And for the most part, I'm good at, I do the right thing. I really don't screw up hardly ever. And this should not be me. So I was very resentful of the fact that there are people who will totally ignore their health and not
Mm.
have any of the challenges that I've had. Why did I have to have this challenge? So there
Right.
was resentment in several areas anyway. So I wanted to share that so that you know that that's kind of where my awakening came from. It was being able to release the resentment because I just wasn't going to do those things anymore. And before we worked together, that really wasn't an option. Didn't it wasn't even an option. So just very interesting the work that has been done. And some of us that are here today have also experienced shifts and things. So that's what we're here to do today. If you are here and you have not yet experienced Gavin's work, please tell us. You will be one of the first to be invited to have your own experience first. And then we can work on anything else that anybody else is here for today. Would that be okay, Gavin? Sound good?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Even even if somebody wants to just have a thought in their mind about grief, sorrow, rejection, any of the heavy emotions that could be coming up, pandemic, I call it, what are we calling it now? It's kind of like I'm over it. I'm over the pandemic, or pandemic overload, you know. So we could just think about that. We could do some clearings about that,
Okay,
you know, as a starting point.
sounds great.
How are you feeling with your other physical stuff?
Better than I have in an awful long time. And while nothing is completely gone, there are a few things that are very minute in terms of that pain scale.
Hmm.
They're very low on, it's more like an aggravation
Hmm.
than a physical pain, you know. So very good. I had hip, back, knee, um, pain, all those things from from the low back to the knee.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people have that because what I'm hearing from you is that has a meaning.
Hmm. Well, yeah, definitely. When you look at feet and you look at knees, it's definitely connected with moving forward in life. Going forward. Back is like feeling supported. Feeling financially secure, because the back really supports the upper body. The legs and feet. Help us move forward in life. The eyes are what we're looking forward to in life, and sometimes our life doesn't look so good, so we sometimes have vision issues. And as we get older, we wear glasses. People would say, okay, well, that's because you're getting older, but it could be, our future is different, is changing. We're going into retirement. Maybe it doesn't look so bright. Maybe it looks a little bleak. These kind of things can really affect eyes. Um, and then you notice that people start having trouble walking. So it's like movement of life, walking through life, accepting the pace of life, and the body really just shows up. It's not, there's nothing bad or wrong about it. There's no reason to be stressed about it. I mean, it could be a stressful situation because you're having a physical disturbance, but it's not so much an aging thing as it is a belief thing or a memory thing about our life. So our body is really just showing up, you know, in
Kind of
that way.
cry for help in a sense, just like, when your blood pressure goes high, it's not because you don't have enough blood pressure medication in your system. It's
Yeah,
there's something going on
yeah.
somewhere in that informational system. And like you were saying, at the molecule level, at the informational light exchange level, and there's miscommunication, but it's a warning sign that, hey, something needs to be paid attention to, but it might not
Mm,
always be the physical part of things
yeah.
that needs to be paid attention to. So I'm sure that people this year have either known somebody who has suffered with COVID, and now they've got this whole syndrome, like they're calling them, what are they calling them now? I don't know if it's like lifers, or there's something,
Long haul. Yeah, long COVID. Yeah.
long haulers, that's it. But it's just a manifestation of yet more disease and more suffering after a person has had this. Some people have actually lost people or are close to people who are grieving and at a loss because they've lost somebody. But also, I think, Gavin, we're all grieving on a loss at some level,
Hmm.
because we've all really lost a life that we once had. So helping us with that would be great.
Now let's do that. Okay. So I started that process already. Let me know how everybody's feeling. Should feels a little bit lighter already. You know, feels a little bit, acceptance of what's happening right now. Because sometimes these situations do show up in life as a way to show us something that's happening directly in our life. I think it would be different for everybody, but the pandemic has kind of slowed us down and made us think about certain things, or reflect on our life. maybe, and sometimes we don't really want to. We don't want to like reflect.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that can be confronting, right? So, let's clear that too. Anything that's giving us angst or confronting us.
Sort of like stagnation of
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. Uh, it feels really good.
Yeah, it does.
And I find another thing that's really interesting that's coming up with a lot of people is they're finding that they're overwhelmed. They feel, stressed about different situations. Maybe they're doing less in life, or maybe they're at home, and that's fine. But it's a lot about information. There's like an information overload that's occurring, and so our brains are kind of getting filled up, overloaded, maxed out, and it's causing us to basically a little bit break down. We could have emotional breakdowns, or we could feel it physically in our body, and that's the body really trying to deal with the overwhelm. So that would be another good thing to clear.
Yeah, yeah. If you're feeling anything specific from the group, that would be great to
Hmm.
know what you're feeling, and then we'll work on that. And if you notice any shifting, feel free to type that in the chat box. Anything that comes up mentally, physically, changes, we'd love to hear that.
I was feeling late. That's good.
I feel really light. I feel really really good right now. I know how you guys feel. Love to hear it.
Sometimes we feel a little bit lightheaded. That could be part of the symptom. And so sometimes when you're kind of processing old traumas or things that are coming up, and as they kind of clear off, you might feel a little bit like, whoa, sometimes, some people feel like that's a little uncomfortable. Some people are okay with it. It depends. Um,
A little pressure in my left shoulder, and that
uh,
cleared right off. That
hmm.
cleared right off.
Yeah, and shoulders are definitely, burdens of life, what we are holding on to, right? So it's probably just something just lifted up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. It wasn't as bad as it normally would get, but yeah, it was a little bit there, and so that just
Yeah. Hmm.
eased right up. Didn't take long.
So you're having a great life now.
I am having a great life right now. And the funniest thing is that, like I said, before I was working towards something, I was working every day, creating content. And, I mean, you helped me get the
You were
website.
working a lot.
Well, I was working a lot. I mean, even Gavin would say to me at times last year, he'd say, "You actually took a day off." That's how rare it was, right? It was
I was
that.
shocked when you took a vacation day.
I know. And, I only worked half that day. That was just the life I was living. It was just constant. Today, I actually, this goes back to what you were saying initially, is because I have this epigenetic background and an energy medicine background, lately I've been just getting downloads of direction. And I'm thinking, but I'm not going to be doing all of this stuff. But I actually still will. So I'm going to be moving a lot into anti-aging, kind of from a particle wave standpoint. So we were on the same wavelength with that. But I put out a guide. If you didn't get it, if you're on my email list, you may have gotten it, but it's called Becoming Timeless. and it is an anti-aging guideline of, labs to look at, just different things from a supplement standpoint, from a food standpoint, from a emotional standpoint. And so I'm going to start putting out a series through email for people who are interested in that.
Mm.
So
Oh,
there's
that's awesome.
different parts of it. So I'll definitely have to have you on
Yeah.
during the belief and emotions part of that.
Mm.
Because
Well, I do notice that when I work with people, and I mean, there's a lot of factors that can go into anti-aging. There could be, food, and other substances we put in our body. There could be toxins, all this stuff. But I do notice with beliefs, memories, that kind of thing, people look different. They feel different. Their face clears up. Whatever it is. So there is some connection with that, definitely, right? Like I think it's a multi-pronged approach that's required to definitely to
yeah, but
definitely do that.
emotions is the biggest. It's the biggest thing,
Yeah.
because that's energy at its most basic form, either
Mhm.
in a negative way or a positive way. So, I mean, that is, your belief system. I had a friend here with me she's here two months. And while she was here, she said over and over and over again, we're getting old. I said, do not include me in that. Do
Yeah.
not include me in that conversation. I am not getting old.
Yeah.
You might be getting old, and yes, I'm a year younger than you, but I'm not getting old. I was just not wanting to be part of that conversation because, just like Misaru Emoto says, that your words, your
Mhm.
body hears, the water in your body hears your words
Mhm.
and follows your words as law.
Right.
So if you think you're getting old, you will begin to get old. And so that's really where it begins is in our belief systems.
Mhm.
It's kind of the
So
heart.
what are your thoughts on stem cells, in connection with anti-aging and your work?
Well, I think stem cells, just like any other cell, have intelligence and they have a memory. A stem cell of an embryo is something that's probably very high vibration, right? If you think about it, you're putting a cell that's intended to grow and regenerate into a person's knee. Like, I don't believe you should take old stem cells from your own knee and put them back in. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I have friends in the business that'll say, no, we don't do it that way. But they use special, they actually use placental cells. It's moms who have already given birth and they donate their placenta. So nobody's
Oh
taking
yeah.
anything. It's not like an ethical issue.
Right.
But this tissue, just like eating an egg, that is that is life, the beginning of life. And I think that when you stick that new tissue in there, it's different communication.
Mm.
I think just like anything, stem cells are awesome. I'd love to have my whole body, every joint injected with
Yeah.
stem cells. And I do think we can do that with our mind, but most of us don't have the time
Yeah.
to spend with ourselves and do those kind of things. So I think,
Well, this is something that I'm really working on. Again, I'm not there yet, but I agree with you. I think we can generate natural stem cells, I think, in the future. And I mean, you still have to deal with the trauma. We still have to deal with beliefs and memories and all that stuff. But after that, we might be able to generate stem cells from within and actually direct it towards our face or different areas in our body. So I'm really excited about that because I see the possibility and I can see sort of some of the moving parts of that. So I'll definitely be practicing on you guys.
all right, you have to keep me posted. And I have someone tomorrow, I'll have a conversation with you when you have a minute about someone I want to connect you with who might be able to do some validation of your work, which I think would be great. So
Okay.
let's talk about
That's
that.
awesome.
So with everybody here, is there anyone who wants to unmute for a private conversation? This would be the time that we can do that while we're still enjoying the remnants of the clearing that has started. You can certainly open up ask a question. If there's something that's off the topic of grief and loss, that's fine. Let us know, what that is, and Gavin will help work on that while we're here tonight. And I know I see somebody's phone number, but I don't see a name. So if this is your first time, 613.
No, you have to know it's Wilma the minute you said if someone wants to unmute. Okay. so, so this has been very interesting because when I noticed the topic was going to be grief, I remember thinking, I have had every time I get on, I talk about my abundance issues, but I have had a lot of deaths in my family in the last few years, and I'm in my 60s, so it's chin up and you grin and bear it, right? It's part of the life cycle, whatever. So I never really thought about how that, that might have affected me, and of course the pandemic is affecting me, and so I thought, I'm gonna participate in the call, and I'm going to pick up whatever energy Gavin is throwing out for people who are actually experiencing current grief. But then when you guys started talking about the anti-aging and the whatever, that tickles me. So I would love to continue along that line.
Glad that we tickled you.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I love where this is going.
You never know where the hell it's going to go when we get on him. And we have a theme, but there are other things on people's minds. And so, that's fine to bring that out. I think that we need to be having these kind of conversations and especially being able to test and see. And I think that's a great way to, experience what can be done with the work that he does and the work of other healers. As a matter of fact, what I want to talk to Gavin about tomorrow is that there is it's called the Consciousness and Healing Initiative. And that is headed up by Dr. Shamini Jain, who was a doctor at Deepak Chopra's center for many years. They're very good friends, and she is sort of, I don't know if you guys really know who Beverly Rubik is, but you know who Masaru Emoto is. All of that type of work on the energy field, around the energy field, using people as channels, mediums, etc., even Reiki practitioners. She brings all of this to the forefront, but they're doing studies on this. So they have funding where they're actually doing studies and saying, hey, and something that came up the other day, I sent it in the email I sent you guys today. And that was directly from, hold on, let me just let this person in. That was directly from the Consciousness Healing Initiative, one of the studies that was done.
Yeah,
I hear some, hold on guys, I hear something in the background here. I'm gonna try to mute
This
it.
guy is definitely gained weight.
Let's see, I'm just trying to mute for a moment. You can always unmute yourself. But so what they said was, I think it was 97%, Gavin, 97% accuracy on the studies they did with medical intuitives. They were right on in terms of, what body part was being affected. And when they worked on that person, they were actually looking at from a biofield standpoint. I think they used something called the BioWell. Are you familiar with BioWell? It's an energy field. It measures your energy field anyway.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's the one that looks like there's a halo around the body afterwards. But they were measuring and they were taking all kinds of heart rate variability and just all kinds of different stuff that they did. So there's studies going on. People are studying energy medicine, and you don't hear about it as much. It's not a big mainstream topic, but it's happening. So I shared that today in line with this call, so people can kind of dig more into that, because let's face it, what you do is it's esoteric. It's some people don't really believe, they don't understand. blows my mind, you know, because my intuition isn't, it isn't, or it's never been that prominent, you know, where I could just pick up, pick up, pick up. But I think we all have a little something that lets us know we're on the right track or not on the right track
Mm.
or whatever. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
hello, Juan. How are you? Is this my friend Juan or is this a different one? I just saw Juan come in. I have a friend Juan, and I think I passed this to him tonight. So if Juan, if you're the one I think you are, let me know in the chat box. And we've been having a conversation about, well, first this
Well,
was,
let's ask Wilma how she's feeling about how
oh
you
yeah,
feeling about your grief.
Well, I think because that's weird to say. I think because the way I was raised was it's a fact of life, and you just you live with it, sort of thing. So it wasn't until I was reading the topic for tonight's call that I was thinking, you know, I guess on one level I've just always accepted as everybody's dying. Um, I I kind of like um, accept 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 it and bottle it up, if that's the right way to put it,
Hmm.
put the wording for it.
Yep. Well, and I think that could be beneficial to go into a place of acceptance, but then, you know, we don't have to necessarily succumb to it in the same way. I mean, maybe we're all going there anyways, but you know, how do we age? Can we do it gracefully? And can we
Oh, I
do it
would.
in a way that doesn't have all the pain and suffering? I believe so. So I think it's that, you know, the acceptance part is definitely part of that, you know, but it's like, you know, going through that experience without the grief, you know, and the sorrow.
So this is interesting though, because if you're bringing the aging gracefully thing into it, um, I think it's around the time that I first started having the one death and then the other and then the other. I put it down to menopause. That's why I age so.
Mm.
Why I aged so quickly. Or I shouldn't say that. Why I showed aging so quickly. So
Right.
so you're talking about aging gracefully. So as a medical intuitive, can we? This is interesting. I'm trying to find the right wording for this. If we release the grief that we've, feeling a lot of energy even on that. If we release the grief that we've, the word eaten is coming for some reason. If we release the grief or acknowledge the grief that we've kept locked up inside, can we, from a medical intuitive perspective, release some of those signs of aging? Or are they there once they're there?
No, we can
If that
reverse it.
makes sense.
Yeah, you can definitely reverse it. You know, I think to certain degrees, depends on how far somebody is into that process. But you know, I've had many people who just look younger, who appear, you know, their skin color came back. Like I have a lady in a nursing home, right? And she was kind of spaced out and not really there anymore. And she had no color in her face. And her daughter told me tonight that the color in her face has come back and she's there, she's present, and she's having conversations. She's early onset Parkinson's, but she's coming back to life, so to speak, you know. And so, you know, at nighttime, she would get very disoriented when the sun went down, and she wouldn't know where she was. And she would call, asking and saying, "I'm in the wrong building. I'm in the wrong room. I need to be moved." All these things have disappeared. So, um, and this story is kind of remarkable because the insurance company that is covering her stay at the nursing home has said to the family, we don't need to pay, we don't want to pay anymore because her symptoms have improved so much. And this has only been about a month.
Wow.
So I just tell that story because I mean it's unintended consequences, you know, because obviously they would like the insurance money, but you know, they see a difference. And so that's a reversal in terms of somebody getting worse, yes, you know, and actually looking physically different.
So you have to know my next question is going to be, can you throw some of that at me?
You're getting a little bit tonight, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And you know what? When I've worked with a lot of people with menopause, I mean, that's a lot of transitional, out of one state into another, leaving motherhood and going into where you can't produce, life anymore. That's a big transition, whether somebody is conscious to that or not. There's a lot going on in the subconscious, and so the transition is so huge for people because they have all this disturbance, headaches and mood swings and hunger, and I've seen it all in terms of
And you're right. And you're right, because for me, I look at it's almost like while I'm talking to you, I'm seeing like a dividing line in front of me. It's almost like when I was younger, people would tell me, I like my friends and my sisters would say, I would die to have your figure, or I would die to have your hair. I'm talking back in like the 70s and whatever. And so there's the dividing line is, I know that always went in one ear and out the other. I never paid any attention of it. And then when I hit menopause, it was fast. Like I really showed the signs of aging really quickly. But like I said earlier, I think I have put that down to menopause and not the grief. But I think now that I'm talking to you, it's a little bit of both. It's like the grief, I just sucked it up, and then I let I blame the menopause on it. I guess that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, I think like I had somebody recently who was in their 40s who it looks like they're just a new client, but they're entering like early stage menopause. And it has affected them so much, from an age perspective, because you kind of see that as there's a completion that's happening in your life, and that's just a belief system, it's a transition, but yeah, there's going to be a negative connotation, generally speaking, when people are entering that phase of their life. So I would agree with you. There's a lot of belief systems, about what that really means for your life, and that will speed up the aging.
I don't think when I say this, I'm surprising anybody, but sometimes we don't think of this. I think all of these things, aging especially, everything in life from our first breath is a movement of chi. And whether it's a supplement or a breath or energy work or anything like that, like with Gavin's work, when you're neutralizing an emotion, that emotion is stopping the flow of chi, plain and simple. And then when you allow that movement, or when he facilitates a movement of chi, all of a sudden now we lose these aches and pains, because they're just manifested from a wave to a particle. It's all energy, right? And that's what it is. And not a lot of people look at it. The people in this room or on this call right now understand what I'm talking about. But I've looked at this across the board, and whether it's, like I said, a supplement or a brain chemical, it's the movement of chi. And the more energy you can move bidirectionally, the better your health and your mindset will be. And sometimes things just get stuck, like with the emotions. So when you were saying that you think it was a menopause thing, it's quite possible that I would say, right, Gavin, that the grief that you held was causing a blockage in your flow, because that grief is blocking the ability for your energy to
Mm.
flow.
Yeah, I agree. And then you get more grief by just realizing that you're in menopause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is something to grieve about. I know that you don't know.
Oh yeah, it is.
What it is.
Exactly.
It really is. But once you get past, like you said, Gavin, the acceptance, you've
Mhm.
accepted that there might be physical changes in things. You still don't have to lay down and let it beat you. There's
Mhm.
always the things that you can do, and moving your energy, keeping yourself flowing, whatever means that that is. Obviously, drinking water and drinking minerals are two great ways, or drinking water with minerals are great ways for energy to flow. How many people don't drink enough water? Like something as simple as that. And I don't know if you recommend this, Gavin, but a lot of energy workers will recommend after they work with you, drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Because you,
And
right?
good quality water too. That's a whole other topic, but
Yeah, it
um,
is, but because you're moving
yeah.
energy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does your grief
That's
feel
really,
now?
yeah, that's really interesting because I drink a lot of water, but I still feel sometimes like I'm dehydrated.
I will send you something that helps with that.
Isn't that interesting? Just as I was saying that to you, like I had a feeling of like a dried up old prune. But that falls into the menopause, right? Like, but it's true. I drink a lot of water, a lot of water. Like I'm always, and so you'd think that I'm having way too much water, but I still feel and sense that I'm dehydrated sometimes.
Well, part of the problem with a lot of water is because it's been changed so many times and filtered and um, chemicalized and stuff. When the molecules come out of the faucet or even reverse osmosis or there's so many out there, but a lot of the molecules are too big for you to absorb, right? So yeah, I'll send you an email with my recommendation for that, and it's basically
Oh,
just
that'd be awesome.
a special filter that takes the molecule and basically makes it into this micro, they call it micro clustering. And I tell you, like when I first experienced it, it was almost like I felt for the first time I was actually absorbing the water, and it was like nourishing me. It was like food because I could
Oh,
feel it going
wow.
into my body. Whereas before, I was like you, I was just drinking, constantly, especially in the healing. You just, you feel thirsty, so you just think, oh well, I'm healing, or I'm working, I'm doing a lot of healing work, all that stuff, and I'm just drinking, like I'm just like parched, 24
That's
7.
exactly what it is. I know I'm drinking. I'm drinking way more than enough water. It's
Yeah,
just I'm still feeling dehydrated. And when you said parched, it's like that. It's like, when you're dehydrated and you almost have to clear your throat because it's
yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Well, the
So
water's
thank you.
just
I
passing
look
right
forward
through
to
you.
that.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
you're just peeing it out, you're not absorbing it. So yeah, I'll send that to you, and it's definitely a game changer in the water space, so
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
yeah.
That
And
is-
if anybody here knows about sacred geometry, they know that water these days is very unstructured. So it's coming out of any type of water system, it's unstructured. So, there's systems out there that can restructure the water. And when it's restructured into its natural form, your body's just going to absorb it. That's it. So it's a pretty
Oh,
simple process.
wow.
But basically, your water right now is unstructured, and if anybody were to look at it under a microscope, they would just see that it's clustered in a weird way, and it's disjointed because it's been treated so many times over and over again. It's the same water, just recycled and
Yeah.
retreated.
Wow.
And there's no energy, and that's why they
Yeah,
call structured water living water. Like
yeah,
regular water is H2O 2. Structured water is H2O 3. So there's 3 parts oxygen. It's more oxygenated water. And Gavin, that system you mentioned, is that structuring the water?
yes,
It's
yeah,
doing.
exactly.
I use
And the
a
water, they call it a live water, actually.
Yeah, living water. I use
Wow.
a tensor ring, but there's a vortex in the middle of a tensor ring, and it will structure your water. Like simple, easy fixes to
Yeah,
help us move energy. And so, Gavin's
yeah.
water.
And I've been concerned with people for a while in terms of water consumption, because I know that there's a lot of untreated water, or there's even like a distilled or reverse osmosis. It removes everything. So, okay, you're not getting the chemical, but then you're not getting the nutrient, and it's very unstructured. So, there's some good solutions on the market for that.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Yep, structured water is the way to go.
yeah,
Absolutely. And a friend of mine said this to me, and I try to do this when I think about it, but he basically, and I'm not going to say the word blesses, but he gives
mm,
thanks for every glass of water he drinks.
Hmm.
Every single one. And there is some serious power in that. I mean, nobody can deny the power of gratitude. If he's being grateful for every drop he drinks,
It's amazing.
that's really a cool thing to do. When you think about it, it's hard to think about it often enough because it's not a habit, but it really is a powerful way to do it. Like Masaru Emoto, when they prayed over the water, when they gave thanks for the water, it showed changes in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's scientifically been proven.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this conversation went all over the place tonight, didn't it?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So if we have anybody that hasn't spoken, wants to unmute, talk with Gavin, we have a few minutes left that we can certainly do that. And even if you just have questions about his process or how he started this or whatever, or if you want or need some help and you want to feel some relief for an emotional situation, or just let us know what's going on, and Gavin will pick up whatever vibes he can pick up, and we'll help you out. Juan, I'm glad you got to join us. Juan is here all the way from Vietnam.
That's awesome. Welcome.
That's pretty cool, huh? So Juan and I once worked together, and he was a very brave guy and made the move to Vietnam. I don't think he's ever looked back. It's a good place. It's a good place to live. Everybody's very quiet this evening, and hopefully you are at least feeling the effects of the movement of energy. It does definitely feel lighter, and I'd love to at least hear that in the chat box. If that's something that you're feeling, we would love to hear it. And if you just wanted to listen tonight and not really open yourself up to anything, that's perfectly fine. We'll be here again in 2 weeks. And so a lot of people will kind of wait one or two times before they say anything. But, definitely Gavin is here to ease whatever burdens he can for you tonight.
I have a question. I noticed in both of you, since you're both on screen, that neither one of you have bags under your eyes. And I see a lot of people today in their 20s with huge bags under their eyes. And I'm still in my 50s and I've got them and I look like I'm 75 with the bags because I just got a picture taken for my passport. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm wondering what the trick is for that.
My understanding with the bags is, I don't know, Sandra, if you can if you're familiar with this, but a lot of it has to do with the liver and how the liver processes toxin. So I agree with you, Lucky. I see a lot of people with bags under the eyes as well, right? So when the liver gets overloaded and too much toxin, it creates a sort of puffiness around that area.
Okay. Would that have anything possibly to do with not drinking enough water?
Yes. Yeah, because the liver needs to be flushed. And I find when I look at people energetically, as much as the liver is supposed to detox, I don't think it detoxes as efficiently as I would like it to. So it kind of holds on to toxin. It does a little bit of work and then it kind of gets backed up and then it just stuff stays there. So we have to do all like these detoxes and stuff. It's not like it's naturally detoxing. And then I find a lot of people don't drink a lot of water, so that would affect, the flushing, aspect of the body. And when I talk to a lot of people, they say, well, I don't like the taste of water, or maybe they're like, oh, I don't feel thirsty, so they can go a whole day with not drinking much water. So that could be a factor, definitely.
Yeah, because I tell people if I ate the way I drink, I'd be anorexic. So it's the same thing. I don't like the taste. A lot of times I forget. I used to have it in the kitchen. I brought a bottle next to me, and it would still sit there for 3 hours. I'm on the computer. I don't even see it. So it's like, it didn't really make a difference. But I know it's something I need to work on going forward. And I'm getting ready now that I moved down south. The weather's warmer. I'm going to get back to working out, and that'll force me to drink more.
Mm.
Maybe when I get in more of the habit of just having to replenish, maybe I'll, you know, make it more of a habit when I'm not working out.
You'll notice the difference with the bags just with that because it'll secrete so much fluid, out of your body, and then yes, you'll be forced to drink, right? There's also a homeopathic. I have to look it up and I can send it to you. But basically what it does is it activates your thirst centers because basically as the as you go more and more time without water, your body just adapts and it just becomes used to it, right? So this is what I hear from a lot of people. They're like, I don't feel thirsty,
Yeah.
even though you could be dehydrated. It's kind of a weird concept because you think the body would be sending you a message, hey, drink, but doesn't. So the
Right.
homeopathic kind of activates the thirst centers again. It's very, really interesting how they do that. So I'll look that up for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one. I'm not fantastic with homeopathics, but I'm pretty good. But I can't remember what that one is. So I'd be curious to know. There are two other reasons why some people could have bags, and one of them is thyroid. A lot of times when somebody has thyroid problems, mostly like kind of on the Graves' disease, like the hyperthyroid, um, you'll see bags under the eyes. And the reason why I got them was because I didn't have any allergy symptoms whatsoever when I lived in Boston. I moved to a more sort of country setting where there was more trees and all of that stuff. I had a couple of cats. And what they say with allergies is your cup will runneth over. So trees and pollen, you know, fill your cup a little bit, but not enough for you to be symptomatic. Now you add some cats and some ragweed, and then all of a sudden you become symptomatic. You can't hold it anymore, and your
Mm.
body will react. And I got what they called allergic shiners, and it's never gone away. So even though you say that I don't have dark circles, I actually do. I think my glasses hide them, but they
Yeah,
never
very well. They don't show up.
went away from when I had those allergies.
Wow.
So
Okay.
everybody's reason could be different, but I think that Gavin's explanation is probably more likely for most people because
Well, when I remember years ago when I was involved with acupuncture and Chinese medicine, I would actually treat the liver. It was kind of like an acupuncture device. It wasn't needles, but I would treat the liver and the bangs would reduce. So it's probably where that came from, so there did seem to be a big connection there, but I think Lucky hit it on. The hydration is a big issue too.
yeah, yeah. And again, acupuncture, what does that do? Relieves key stagnation. So,
Mm,
your chi is you're moving chi. And it all kind of goes back to the movement of energy. It's just that we see the negative effects of that, each of us, I think, a lot differently. Some in different parts of our body or whatever, but it's definitely all about energy. There's no
yeah.
doubt about that. So we will be wrapping up here momentarily. Anybody else want to open up, ask a question? Feel free to do that. We'd love to have an answer for you if there is one to be had. Just taking a look here now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I have a question. What was the device for the water machine you were referring to?
Oh, I can actually, if I send that to you, Sandra, then you can send out an email.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I have to get your most recent email just in case the one I have is not it, but I can
Same one you have.
I can definitely.
Yeah, we'll send that out. It's a great system, so, and very affordable. So
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, and yeah, if you type into YouTube as well, structured water, if you want a better understanding of it. Oh gosh, Dietrich Klingart does a really, really good presentation on what's called the fourth phase of water. And they basically call it easy water because there's an exclusion zone. That's what the easy stands for. And he explains how the water is wetter, it's more nutrient rich. Basically, it wets us more effectively. So those devices just make things so much easier. Because trust me when I tell you, if you try to structure water at home, it's not fun. You have to fill up a bunch of bottles, you got to put them in the freezer. Not going to happen. I want, no pun intended, easy. I want something that's simple. And it's just much more simple when it comes out of the faucet that way.
Yes.
All right.
I'll research this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say Dietrich Klingart, I'm sorry, it's Gerald Pollack, Pollack. The fourth phase of water. Really good YouTube video. I'll type it in here.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say before I close off, I just wanted to give a lot of gratitude to both of you because these calls are just so amazing and the synergy between the two of you is just awesome. So I just want to thank you for being part of it.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for being part of it.
How are you feeling?
Him and I, it would be boring.
I'm feeling much better, and I'm waiting to get that little water thing from you, and I'm going to set the intention that that's going to reverse my aging signs.
Well, definitely take away your thirst. That's for sure.
Ever the optimist, right?
That's awesome.
Stay tuned, like I said, because there'll be a nice little series coming up where there'll be 1 hour calls probably every week for a while, but they'll be recorded and you will actually be able to access them simply and easily if you miss one. So
awesome.
I'll have Gavin on for a few of those as well, but that's something I think that the anti-aging conversation is it's a really juicy one, and I think that it's going to be fun to get into. So I'll be curious to see where Gavin's research goes, and we'll have to share notes.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. If you want the recording, you can either PM me on Facebook. If you are not on my mailing list, if you're on the mailing list, it will go out somewhere by tomorrow evening, somewhere around there. If you wanted to watch, listen, and enjoy again, because if you watch this after the fact, you will still get benefits from being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Okay, bye guys.
Awesome. Good night.
Good night, guys.
All right. Thank you very much.